Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. So last week we did the top 5 worst types of AoE2 players and you guys seem to really enjoy the video. So today we're going to be doing the exact same topic but with the positive spin. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 best types of AoE2 players, and listen, if one of these describes you perfectly then you know you're on the right track, and if not then maybe you got some work to do unless you're striving to be one of the top 5 worst players, in which case you got to go down in the sportsmanship and all other categories of human decency. But I respect the grind either way. Whether you're trying to be the best or the worst, the grind is still pretty hectic, and I definitely respect the work ethic. Alright, with all that said, let's hop into number 5. Starting off at number 5 for the best types of AoE2 players, we've got the Gentleman. Now, the Gentleman is a competitive person. He's a competitive player. Doesn't matter what elo he's around, but regardless what happens in the game, he always drops the GG. Whether he wins or loses, he still gives credit to his opponent, enjoys the game, and then maybe tries to learn a thing or two, or just has a good time with it. The Gentleman is an all-rounded player that you just enjoy playing against, either with in a team game or against in a 1v1, because whatever happens, there's not going to be any hard feelings. He's going to have a good time, and he might even drop a well played if you do something really nice against them. Playing against the Gentleman feels very rewarding because you know that there's going to be no threat to like a bad experience after a game. The worst thing that can happen is that you lose a game, and if you win then your opponent's going to be cool about it. If you lose, you're more likely to be cool about it as well because you know your opponent is also a pretty chill person, and I feel like the Gentleman is kind of a contagious characteristic. Now the thing is, in online gaming in general, there's very little Gentleman going around, especially in other games such as League of Legends, Dota, you name it. However, I'm pretty sure that AoE2 has a higher ratio of Gentleman players compared to other competitive games out there. I think part of the reason for that is because the pro players in Age of Empires 2 are pretty much all in this category. I would say 90% of pro players fall into this category, which I think makes for a very healthy scene overall and gives off a pretty good example for the rest of the players as well. Moving on to number 4, we've got a type of player that I personally love to interact with. I see them all the time in my Twitch and my YouTube channels, and every time I speak to them, they're just so wholesome. And this is the campaign enjoyer. Now, the campaign enjoyer is someone who does not touch the rank queue, whether it being ranked or even online, like quick play. He just doesn't play online. He only plays single player and specifically campaigns. This is the guy that will buy DLCs, not for the new civs, but just to play the new campaigns. And I don't know if it's because their soul hasn't been tainted by competitive online gameplay or what it is, but these players are always so wholesome. Like they love the game, they love to play it, they're nostalgic about it, they love looking forward to new campaigns, they love replaying old campaigns. Big shout out to the campaign enjoyers. I know I don't get to recognize you guys often because I'm more of an online person myself, although recently I've been revisiting the campaigns and I love the campaigns, made that very clear from the start. Used to play them back in the day myself, so definitely can relate. But although I can't interact with you guys often, I want to do a pretty big shout out to all you campaign guys out there. Leave a comment down below if you're a campaign enjoyer. Respect you guys, and you guys are honestly keeping the game pretty alive because Microsoft has stats. They see how many people are playing single player, so you guys are playing your role in keeping the game alive. Big respect from all of us. Moving on to number 3 though, we're going to take a step back into the ranked gameplay or just the online gameplay in general. We have my favorite teammate, the Team Waller. Any good team needs a Team Waller. A Team Waller is selfless. He doesn't just wall himself and worry about himself and then start attacking from the flank, and then when he loses he just blames the pocket and moves on to the next game to rinse and repeat the process. No, that's not the Team Waller at all. The Team Waller puts his team first. Come Imperial Age, he's the guy stonewalling the entire map, setting up trade routes, pinging for markets in the corner, and he will ask you guys if you need any resources. In fact, the Team Waller can be called the team player because this guy's always putting his team first. The thing is about walling the map is that it's a very tedious process. Even the Team Waller would agree that it's a very tedious process. But despite it being tedious, he still goes ahead and does it for the greater good of the game and for the greater good of the team. And think about it logically, a fully fortified wall across the entire map makes the game so much easier to play. Your opponent can't run in with random raids. You have a section of the map where enemy units can't pass without siege. It makes it very clear on what you have to protect, what areas are vulnerable, and it just makes the game a lot easier to play. If you don't have a Team Waller, your game will be a nightmare in Imperial Age, especially if you're going up against a team that does have one. Every good team needs one, and shout out to the Team Wallers out there doing the best work for the team. Moving on to number 2, we've got probably one of my favorite types of players because I just like having these kind of people around and I like talking with them. And this is the Thinker. Also, you can call him the Learner. Now, what I like about the Thinker is that he's not brainlessly spamming games. He doesn't have 10,000 ladder games, and he's not playing 10,000 games on autopilot just to be stuck at 400 elo. This is not what the Thinker is doing. The Thinker is playing a few games with his limited time, and he's actively thinking during them. He's trying to make the best plays happen, and whether he wins or loses, he takes a lesson from the game. He thinks about what happened to try to get better and try to make the next game an improvement over the last. The thinker is a guy who climbs elo in a short amount of time and with a few amount of games played. Listen, I'm not saying that every thinker gets to like 2k5 level, but I am saying that the thinker is the guy that definitely climbs elo and not one that gets hard stuck. He's the guy looking out for YouTube videos if he needs them. He's the guy always trying to ask questions and try to learn some new information, try to apply it to his game. He's the guy fixing his hotkeys, trying to, implement new techniques into his game. He is doing anything he can to try to make his gameplay better, and I really respect that. Listen, there's nothing against someone coming home from work and brainlessly playing some Age of Empires. We've all been there. In fact, I brainlessly play Age of Empires at work. I know my boss sometimes gets mad at me, but not often because the boss is me. But anyways, there's nothing wrong with brainlessly playing some games after work or whatnot. But if you're trying to improve, being a thinker will go such a long way. And whether he wins or loses, he doesn't get mad, he turns it into a lesson, and that pushes him forward. Before I show you guys number 1, I want to talk about an honorable mention real quick, and I'll briefly just go over it. We've got, in the honorable mention slot, the for fun guy. I don't know how many times I have to explain this to people, but it just seems like some people just get lost in trying to improve. Obviously, the thinker is nice because he gets to improve, and I like the way his thought process works, but the for fun guy just doesn't care if he gets better or not. He only cares about having fun. And as I mentioned, I don't know how much I have to explain this to people. It is a game. Obviously, for myself, I might be playing in the highest stakes in tournaments, that kind of stuff. There's stuff on the line, but for the average person, for most players, it is just a game. Let's have fun with it. It's like if I go play chess and I start raging because I'm losing in a 1700 bullet game. No, I suck and it's just fun, and if I'm not having fun, I close it and go back to Age of Empires or just move on to something else. It's a game. Let's play it for fun. There's no reason to get the emotions high. I mean, if there's something on the line, I understand, but usually, listen guys, elo rating, it goes up and down. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. I like the for fun guys because they just have fun with the game and they don't get mad if, they even lose 10 games in a row. They just move on to something else, and I feel like that's a really healthy way to go about it. Last thing I'll say about the for fun guy, they are most likely the people that never quit the game. Just straight up, if you're playing for fun, there's always something fun to be had with Age of Empires, so they play for years and years on end. They are probably some of our longest lasting players. I will also add in this category that there are a ton of smaller communities and custom games that you can get into. So the for fun players usually create like a bunch of different smaller communities to keep people engaged and keep people hooked into the game in different game modes, like Castle Blood Automatic or other scenarios that are pretty popular. Alright, moving on to number 1, we've got, in my opinion, the best type of AoE2 player because this guy fosters the community in no other way. This is the guy who is really setting the standard and really keeping the community building at 100%. And this is the helper. Now, the helper is very similar to the thinker in the way that they try to improve by using their brain and try to kind of think about the game in a strategic aspect. But the helper, instead of keeping that information for himself, he's actively spreading that knowledge to other people. He's doing coaching, he's answering questions, he's joining discords and creating some dialogue. He is the guy always trying to help those who are lower elo than him, or just the newer players in general that have a lot of questions. The helper is a guy that brings newer players in and helps them improve or at least learn the game to keep them playing for a longer period of time. In my opinion, the helper is the number 1 best type of AoE2 player because they are naturally growing the community in the healthiest way possible. Think about it logically. If a new player comes in and finds nobody to talk to, he's gonna quit at the first hardship more often than not. But if he comes in and he finds people to talk to, he finds people to engage with, maybe some YouTube videos online, some tutorials, this is the best way to keep people hooked and keep people playing more, which is ultimately the number 1 benefit to the AoE2 community. And listen, not everything is for the community. Sometimes you want to just play for yourself, which is why we have other options like the for fun guy if you want to just chill by yourself. But the helper puts the community first, and I think that's definitely worthy of recognition. Big shout out to all the helpers out there. All right, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Let me know if you guys are on this list at all, which number you guys stand in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you guys did enjoy the video. And if you want more content from me, check out my Patreon for exclusive guides and videos, and check out my Twitch for the live streams. Link to both in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.